Alright folks, we're back. Thanks for watching that break. I had a really good point I wanted to bring up, but I've already forgotten it. Son of a beeswax. Alright, well, maybe I'll come back to you later. Stats versus Patience happening. They're just finishing up their vetoes. It is the losers match of the group, so one of these two may fall, and it could suck quite a bit, but PvP is going to be really interesting. I think that I'm actually rooting for Patience a little bit on this one, but I do love stats, so see how it goes. Cool Tennis Pro says, by the way, Zombie Urban Rifkin, I love your casting. He gives us a heart. Oh, heart's right back at you, buddy.
Yeah.
Thanks, Strats. Scarlet M. Oh, Scarlet in chat. Did she come to gloat after winning? Who does that?
Yes, she did.
She did. She came in. She threw down a neeb face.
It's a pretty appropriate neeb face.
I do love the idea of gloating though from Scarlet. Something about that is just so nice because like she's such a, at least publicly facing. Cause I can't speak much about her like private stuff, but publicly facing, she's a very humble and modest person, right? So I love the idea of Scarlet coming to the chat and dropping down like a, yeah.
Yeah.
And of course,
exactly
Maynard hopping in the chat. What's up, buddy? Good morning or evening. I don't actually know what time it is over there for you, but
Evening.
Evening. Hello.
So, you're in the morning right now, Rifkin. Are you
Yeah.
in Australia?
5 a.m. Feels bad, man.
Oh. So my mom had this brilliant idea. She thought she was really gonna get the chat, but no one's noticed so far.
She's gonna get the chat. What does that mean?
She's got him, like gotcha moment. No, I told her about everyone like talking about my R2D2 case, and no one said anything about the size of my R2D2 case.
Oh, did you get like another one but smaller?
I had another one but smaller, but it was inside the other R2D2.
So your mom was like, let's swap it out. We'll see if anyone knows. It's like the Shuffle Cups
That's
game.
That's literally what happened. She was like, let's put it here and see if everyone notices that I get shrunk.
Your mom
okay,
is adorable. It's great.
I know.
I love to. So did you actually read into any of the Reddit thread regarding the Mombi Grub clip?
Yeah, I saw the top comment.
Well,
I was like,
whatever for anything else. I just love the comment because I didn't consider it, but I am fully aware of how easy this is to misunderstand. Somebody thought this was like a pregnancy announcement. And I'm like, you know what? Like that's not totally crazy. Like I can see that.
Yeah, that's how I should. That's how I should announce it.
I mean, Zombie Grub is clearly frivolously using Tinder to pick up all the Korean boys and not using any protection. Obviously, that's just her and her personality. Or
I didn't know the latter part, but.
Or we can go the other direction where she's rekindled that flame with Steve in the biggest way possible.
Oh my God, Steve! I talked about him in months.
How can I lock him down so he doesn't run away again?
Pregnancy.
Announcing I'm pregnant.
That's me in a nutshell right here. I gotta lock one of them down, you know?
Well, I mean, we're joking fun. It is Korean boys, and we know how much you love them, so...
Yeah, I mean, I want to stay in Korea, and I want to, be able to have a phone, so I gotta get that citizenship.
Green card. The cost? A kid. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's game number 1. It's a PvP best of 3 here in the losers match. Spawning in the top left, we of course have none other than the yellow Protoss Patience. Nope, stats. Damn it. Fuck.
Well, that worked. Job. In the bottom right, as the red Protoss, it is Patience.
The pregnancy talk threw me off. That's what I'll blame it on for sure.
Yes,
but
that's something.
We've alluded to and discussed PvP, and the thing is, PvP is actually not all that common in Korea. There was a small time for 2 weeks where we saw some like an abnormal amount of players signing up for the Elima League, where we had a lot of PvPs going on. And like we know for the most part, like you got your classics out there who can be a little bit cheesy. You got your heroes out there who can be a little bit aggressive. But Patience is kind of this nice mix of both, I feel. And he's got some very good standard play in his back pocket too. So I'm not sure how he plans to approach playing against stats. But the pylon down up here was a cheeky enough start because it fully blocked out the gas.
Yeah, that was the purpose of it. I mean, it's always probably a little bit of a panic attack too.
It's interesting.
Like, are they also trying to rush you? But it was just the gas.
You could actually see the value of that, it being about approximately 100 gas lost for the cost of that 100 minerals on the pylon.
I mean, like the gas in the early game is so important. I mean, you can still fit in, I think, like everything from the gateways and the Nexus. That I just said, like a Mothership Core, Stalkers, and Warp Gate. But I think if you're gonna try and go for like a faster Stargate, I'm pretty sure that would stop you. I'm not sure it'd be worth getting such a late Stargate. But PvP is not my forte. Terran is, and that's why Forte is my forte. It's a Terran player.
Got it. Got him. Good
Just
job.
I mean, he doesn't play anymore.
No, actually he hasn't. He's been streaming though, apparently, which is interesting. More on that later, I suppose. But Patience coming in here with the Adepts is not going to be able to accomplish much. Stalkers alone should be enough to drive this off. But he confirms the scouting on the natural, which is kind of nice, and should be able to cancel the transfer. Yeah, fairly easy.
Yeah. I
I
was trying to. Oh, go ahead.
I didn't take Maynard to be the jealous type, but chat is proving otherwise.
Well, I don't think it's jealousy. I think it's like
Whoa.
like.
Patience F that up gloriously.
Gloriously. I think it's more like he just wants to make sure that the guy that I choose in my life is good enough.
He's like the ex-boyfriend big brother. Is that how that works?
You got him, man. One of that is beating Maynard of fisticuffs.
I mean, you do come from the south.
I don't come from the south. Oh my god. It's such like a technicality. Like I hate it.
You're like, I'm like 1 degree above where the south is. All right, Rifkin, check yourself.
I hate the Mason-Dixon line. What the fuck does it even mean, anyways? But that's the thing that everyone says. If you're south of, you're south, and I'm like, this is stupid. Just because I say y'all occasionally.
There's some terminology I find really difficult to follow. Like, for example, I know now, right? But back when 30 Rock was on air, like, God, how long ago was that even? Like 7 years ago or something?
Yeah.
No, more, because it was before Obama, because they made Obama jokes, election jokes in it, right? So, like 8 years. But anyways, they would always reference Roe v. Wade, and I thought this was just like some person named like Roe v. Wade. Like Roe v. was their first name and Wade was their last name. Not realizing it was like a very important court case, like Roe versus Wade. Like
that's pretty good. No, I could definitely see that. I know I've done the same thing. I just can't think of any right now.
It's something with like a Mason-Dixon line. It's pretty clear when you know what it is, but maybe your first time hearing it, you're like, what?
I just a long name, man.
No.
You hate that line.
There's actually some minor importance here, not in terms of like what's going on, but more like what's not going on. And neither player going for a Stargate in a PvP is not out of this world crazy, but I do wonder if this will get to that point where, hey, it's Blink Stalker, it's Disruptor, it's everything you expect, and then one of them chooses to take that left field swing to Phoenix. Because right now, it's gearing up to be pretty normal play. It is worth noting, though, too, we've seen a fair amount of our late game PvPs that do have this same opening lead into carriers and mothership and ugh.
Yeah, I was gonna mention, like quickly spoiler type thing, but like the games at GSL were like all of them. Well, the ones that I saw, anyways, we got a little bit late, but the ones I saw, so at least 2 of them, were like super late game and like very easily to late game too, right? Like there wasn't much of a pit stop around the Blink Stalker Disruptor war that really is still, I think, the hallmark of PvP, but actually doesn't happen as much as one would think. We'll see. Stats didn't look as good as Classic in that department, so I don't know if it's as good as Patience, but they are both just really ramping up. Thread base is already on the way. Patience is already actually done, which is quite nice. And Stats, I don't think you'll be able to do very much about it.
Well, if we're going to hypothesize for a second that this might skip ahead, and we're not going to see like a game-ending move before it goes super duper late, I think was it here we were watching recently? Had some like really aggressive late game like carriers and stuff. It didn't work out for him, obviously, but there are some ways that like the late game doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be the stale, slow build up. But unfortunately, if that is going to be the case, yeah, it doesn't have to be. It can be, and it is usually most of the time, of course. But here comes that robot of Patience. So looking towards those disruptors, most likely.
Yeah, we saw someone go for Colossus, didn't we?
I don't think Colossus is going to be brought back to this matchup. I really don't.
Some people are still trying. Now, Disruptors definitely makes more sense. I would prefer to see it.
Some people fighting to keep the Confederate flag too. Doesn't mean it's right.
That's the best analogy. Thank you for that one.
Colossus, the super racist unit.
Oh my god. Oh my god, they just came out of the water and they just started spouting racist nonsense and like get back in there.
I love the idea. Water draping off this majestic ancient technology comes out and it's like, Mexicans should go home. It's like the first thing it says.
Oh my god. You know what probably hated Dark Templar, right? It was probably like,
oh yeah, because
my
that's right.
God.
The Dark Templar were exiled.
Okay, God.
If you can't be seen, you're not people. And you know what? Taking it one step further, it literally has a purifier skin. Let's talk about that for a moment.
Oh my god, the pure race. Holy shit. You purify the Protoss. Oh
okay,
god.
so Patience is taking that left field turn I was referencing, by the way. I like this a lot because this kind of sets you up to curve into that late tech if you want to for the Sky Armada later. But for those who don't know, like you haven't watched a lot of PvPs, you've cringed and sneered away from it or whatever, the Disruptor fight is so volatile and so crazy and so incredibly devastating. If you have to sacrifice a Phoenix to lift up a Disruptor and just cancel the shot and lose the Phoenix for it, it is worth it almost every single time.
Yeah, I mean the process of getting to Stargate play really does seem to start off with this, like, obviously it starts off with a Stargate, but the Stargate that is built for usually an Oracle for knowing where the disruptors are coming from. On the off chance they go for Phoenixes, I mean that is a super cool move, but it is the rarer of the two. And then if it goes to Oracles, they kind of, I don't know, they beep bop around the map with disruptors and blink, and then it's whoever can and does go for Stargates or additional Stargates first, a Fleet Beacon.
Huh. Players taking different bases, by the way, as far as force go, but this harassment out of stats has kind of been whatever. It's killed a couple of probes in each attempt with the Adepts. I love these cannons in the mineral line, though. While these may or may not kill, like, AFK Adepts, it guarantees that the auto attack at least goes to them instead of some probes.
Yeah. I feel like if a third base comes down and you have it for, like, a full minute without aggression, I guess that's, like, kind of the cutoff thing.
You should be able to get Disruptor with this. That was kind of cool. Stats like overshot, I think, on purpose, expecting the blink. It just didn't come out.
Yeah. But what was I talking about? Oh, like, past a certain point, right? You realize it's going to get to 4 bases, 3 bases fully saturated, something along those lines, and you got to expect ATs at some point, too. I do think it's more worth to try and get to the Oracle and then extra Stargates more than it is adding in a Dark Shrine. But sometimes that surprise Dark Shrine can be the real kicker in, like, the mid-late game that is PvP. And this is obviously going to pretty late PvP. And hey, there's the Dark Shrine.
He also has gravitic boosters coming out, which I kind of like. A lot of the times, I think it's going to be Revelations that'll be more valuable than anything else in this matchup, but fast observers are not a bad thing to have either.
No, not like, I mean, a lot of the Disruptor wars do come down to who gets surprised. More so with some other tricky, like, Disruptors, I guess, like M-canning, right? Like, just placing more on the map type deal, but still, even in more straight-up fights, they can be very important. They're both getting it. Stats will be the first one out on those additional gateways and Fleet Beacon.
Well, maybe this is why the first 2 series went so long today. Karma knew that we'd have to balance out the PvP that game. Charge, of course, I didn't even realize he had researched Charge. That's actually really nice to see. But if Patience... Oh, yeah. I feel like I like this harass out of stats in terms of, like, if he catches Patience off guard, if Patience is looking somewhere else, I think he does a lot more damage with these attacks, but... Patience has not been threatened anywhere else. The attacks haven't been too aggressive either.
Oh no.
Stats is really gonna have to bide his time with his Warp Prism if he wants to use it. I don't think I've ever.
Surprising. Have we cast?
Have we ever cast a game where this actually got past the middle of the map?
No. Well, the Zerg players usually take the one that's beside Stats' third base, and that's like the farthest thing we've ever seen on Ascension Higher. So no, it's surprising, but we're gonna see it.
So this attack out of stats looks a little bit silly, right? But actually, if anything, this is cleaning up supply for him. Well, like efficiently cleaning up supply, so he can move towards things like carriers and motherships and more disruptors, etc.
I wanted to talk about how, like, Stats actually has been not losing this game. Obviously, like, it's getting to 12 minutes, not much happening at all. But he was the one that was behind an economy because that third base, and he was behind an army supply for a couple of different points there. Yet he was much faster to the Stargates and the Fleet Beacon and the 5th base. Like, he's been kind of chancing it more and more, but that does explain why Patience like the slightest much of a bigger bank, I guess. No one quite ready to go to actually using their Stargates. All their banks still go into harassment and reinforcements.
Yeah, there's actually been a surprising amount of scuffles going on in the map, like here in the middle, of course, running on the top side. It's like 80 probes for 4 to almost 5 bases. PvP doesn't usually go like this, even when it does go late. So this is kind of surprising to see. Like, everyone's actually got the money to waste, so to speak. I really like the additional cannons coming down out of Patience. He knows Stats wants to lay it on thick to this base, so he'll play it super safe and they'll pay off later. But oh, in the middle of the map, Stats stops paying attention for a second, loses some disruptors for it.
Yeah, that could have been even worse. Patience has managed
to.
Oh,
Jesus.
Okay, well, you know, that's fine. Stats is like, okay, now it's time to go to carriers. Patience did kill. Yeah, that's right. Kill the Nexus. I guess it actually finished. That thing was under attack for a long time. Of course, the Stats need to cancel it. But anyways, no 5th base for either player yet.
This is like the pinnacle of PvP right here. They've had really great deflections. No one's without tech. No one's without units. But as we transfer here to that late game, we do see 2 funny dynamics. One is that it is, of course, carriers, right? We knew this was coming. It's a long time coming, but we knew it was coming. Secondly, Patience is going for the Graviton Catapult right away. This launches the interceptors very quickly. We've actually seen Protoss players forget this upgrade or delay it really, really long to the point where it actually costs them a fight or two. And that's where I'm like, kind of like, Stats, you're nailing it on all fronts, dude. Don't forget this upgrade, please.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he has the bank, check. That's all you really need. Like, why not? He has the bank and he's not fighting right now. You know, he's not saying those for reinforcement. So that's like a little worrying.
Ooh.
He does that in a mothership a lot sooner.
This finally makes that Warp Prism all the worthwhile. I don't think losing a Dark Shrine is necessarily devastating, but I don't think Patience is aware there's Dark Templar in this attack. Oh, this back disruptor shot out of Stats. That was an M-canning level shot.
Yeah, I was going to say, there was a lot of focus on these front lines, and Patience was coming in from different directions against someone that was a lot more prepared, basically. So those other shots were definitely the outcome of that. But carriers arrive, right, just in time, and the rest of Patience's army is trying to come over here, too.
I love that phrasing. I don't know that that was intentional or not, but I liked it.
It was. Carrier has arrived.
If these start depowering a lot of the pylons, the problem for Patience is like you can have like 6 Stargates producing carriers. They're expensive and they're slow, and losing these pylons sucks. He missed the Revelation too, by the way. Pesca's had another one.
Okay. Yeah, they bring back his fast observers. This did a lot of damage.
Yeah, this really caught Patience off guard in a couple of different ways. Took out a good chunk of the ground army, some decent harass, and delaying production. But I do wonder, we talked about this last time in a hypothetical. We actually, through all the high-level PvPs, still haven't seen it happen. But I'm wondering at what point Tempests become viable in the matchup again. Like, they were given that little bit of a boost, right? They gave that kickback to be better than what they were, but still not good enough.
I think that was the one game Stats like won, by the way, was that he went Tempests. But I think there's other factors. So I also wonder when it's going to come back is the way to go. But apparently it's still about carriers.
Stats also still does not have Graviton Catapult to note. Patience is going to have to deal with another Warping, but I realize he never repowered his Cyber Core, so he can't actually keep air. He's going to fall behind on air upgrades pretty badly, too. Stats is coming up on +3.
He said it, Stats does start his Graviton Catapult. He's denying Patience's bases, whereas Stats, you know, Stats actually got his 5th base back up and running, and even on the way to a 6th base, which is starting to get a little bit worrying.
And Patience only just now making the mothership, I realized. A little bit late to this, could have been very scary, but... Alright, so he starts repowering everything. The Warp Prisms out of Stats may have been like his biggest asset this game. Like, it really... I love when this happens to any unit in StarCraft 2, right? Oracles are usually the biggest example of this. Where, like, if controlled properly, yeah, they don't get many kills early, but they stay alive and they keep coming back for more and more. And I really feel like the Warp Prism did exactly that, and it really paid off big. Patience's +2 is not even going to be halfway done, and Stats' +3 is finishing up as we speak. Like, there's going to be such a discrepancy in upgrades for the next 3.5 to 5 minutes.
And now Stats is going to really start rolling in that bank, man. He, even if he takes a bad trade, if it's like 1 or 2 minutes from now, he should be able to reinforce a lot better than Patience. He's also going to have better upgrades, not just on his air, but also on those shields.
There's another downside to this, though, right? Because for Stats, or Patience even, if they lose their carriers, yeah, you might have like 6 Stargates, but carriers are too damn expensive. You might have a bank, it gets exhausted very quickly.
Yeah, but it would have to be a pretty
Uh-oh.
bad scenario.
That was a big
literally
depower.
losing a fight on your side of the map. Oh,
Okay.
good call.
Absolutely necessary. He lost the pylon. That's probably all the cannons. This was such a good harassment out of stats. And Patience now so slow. He's gonna have to walk back to this base. He knows he has to know Stats is gonna push in on this, realizing that that base has been left open.
I don't know why Patience wants to take this base so badly, to be honest. Like, I know the attacks, the harassment have been coming from the north, so maybe don't take the one in the north. But what about where Stats' like unit is in the pocket base, whatever you want to call it? The one that Stats took himself. Maybe it's like a safer looking base right here, but he's gonna try and defend this one. Patience is down a couple of army supply, I guess, about 10. Well, I guess it got dragged behind, but it also is down in that upgrade. The upgrades, shield and the air weapons.
That sucker just canceled the pylon warping and the reinforcements, and I don't know if Patience realized it. There we go. Comes in a little bit late. Warp Prism to the south. Stats is getting ready to tear Patience apart. I mean, it's not even going to be necessarily about one big army fight. It's going to be constantly going up, going down, going up, going down, like responding to all these spots and then being out of position for the main army of Stats to just run wild.
The only thing that Stats could probably do better is get rid of some probes. I mean, he's still on a lot of mining bases, so he's using the probes effectively, sure, but that's like the only thing that's stopping him from being, you know, even 40 army supply up, because Patience is really struggling now, especially with the gas being mostly defunct. They've run out, actually, in the first 3 bases. I think they're running out at the 4th, so he needs this one.
Yeah. Carriers, actually, I haven't looked at the numbers. What are the carrier counts at? 11 to 8.
I mean, you said it's not going to be about, like, the big fights, and it's like, it really has been a lot more about these war prisms and these counterattacks, just keeping Patience on 4 bases.
I like to think of it like you've got the big, like, MMO tank in the front lines through this army, and the aim of the game isn't to fight the tank; it's to try and get to the healer behind it, right? And that's what he's done. He's shredded. He's destroyed the main base. Stats with this Warp Prism is forcing Patience to now have to all in. He has to go for the attack.
It's interesting. Patience, I guess that's why his gas was mostly depleted, was because he invested a lot more in Templars to build Archons. He has 8 Archons to 1. It's too bad he doesn't have the shield upgrades like Stats does.
You know
that's
what?
like where it seems like his army idea was moving to.
These are going to splash in all the interceptors. I do wonder if Stats is actually going to... I don't know who this fight favors. The Archons on their own are going to get torn apart. Like 350 shields is nothing when you got this many carriers with +3.
Yeah, I feel like it still favors Stats. I mean, he still has disruptors on the ground. He'll have a lot of charge that warp in to distract the Archons. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, well.
Okay, the disruptors don't get the best shots of the day.
No, they don't, but the army's clumped up. Patience comes in for some focus fire, takes out the mothership. Revelation's still on him, though, so he doesn't have cloak to his advantage.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. He's just targeting down the inner...
It's like shift-clicking. It's shift-clicking a battle.
Yeah, that changed drastically what was happening there. Just instantly the carriers go down. I mean, the Archons are still alive, but that's not enough.
GG. Hell of a game number 1. Well, folks, we have a lot of people tuning in. We're going to take a small break getting into this game, but I would like to remind everybody who may be here for the first time, we actually have a prize pool for this tournament that's being crowdfunded. This is the first day in a 3-week tournament, but if you guys don't know, there's a BTSL page set up here on Match Arena. If you've never used Match Arena before, let me show you. First off, type !Match Arena in chat to get this page brought up. Sign in up here on the top right with your Twitch account. Takes a few seconds. If you hit donate, you're like, Rifkin, I don't want to give you guys money. That's fine. You don't have to, because if you use the code BTSL10, it'll cost you nothing, and it'll add $1 to the prize pool. And we want to get this thing up to $1,100 at least, because that's what we have codes available for. So we're at 957. Not bad for a first cast. But if there's like this many people tuning in, hopefully somebody out there will hit that code. But we're going to go to commercial break. Game number 2 when we get back. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. All right, big shout out and thank you to those who watched the commercial break for us. We are getting into game number 2 of this PvP, and this is the losers match. So that said, somebody's life is getting axed out here after this game, or after this series. Might be after this game, because he leads 1-0. In the top right, we've got Splice's stats.
In the bottom left is the red Protoss. He is Patience.
So I'm a little sad, right? Watching chat's reaction to that game. Some people say, oh, that was kind of boring. Others are arguing otherwise. I find it really intriguing because maybe like I get it from a viewer point of view. You want to see like really awesome micro and crazy blink stalkers and warp prism pickup and dropping. And in that term, yeah, that was a boring micro game. That was a really cool macro game for me, though. Like, super nerd chills about the fact that there was this... You guys have to understand, I guess, maybe it's not apparent to those who don't, like, cast and watch every day like we do, but when you have somebody who can play so well against somebody else that the passive play gets instigated, it's not because they've made some silent agreement that there's a no-rush 20 minutes. It's they both recognize the strength of one another and realize they can't get away with anything foolish early on, right? Or at least that's how I perceive it. So when you have that alone, that's already kind of a cool, very different game than most, because that doesn't happen too often. Then you pair it up with the fact that they had constant run-bys, regular split attacks out of stats. Like, even I would argue that that's micro worth watching, but again, I'm not going to try and convince somebody who wants Blake stalkers, right? I thought that was a really cool game, and I'm a bit sad to see the reaction saying otherwise.
I'm pretty skeptical. I think that Protoss might be on the road to just being kind of a passive game, like matchup again, which would make me kind of sad. That wasn't really as passive as I think maybe it looked, because there was a lot of stuff that we didn't even catch. There was actually constant action on the top side of the map. That the run-bys that were set up, and the stalkers, and the whole armies that were set up over there, and that was a large part of the reason that Patience lost some of the wars in the bottom side as well. We just didn't catch it. So it wasn't that passive, but like I am a little worried that more and more PvP is going to the late game, in which case, like, I definitely feel some, like, you know, empathy, I suppose, to some viewers, because I think Protoss for the last 7 years, a little less than Legacy of the Void, but for a lot of the expansions, has been that the beauty is in the details, and sometimes the details just aren't, you know, things you're gonna bother paying attention to, you know? Like, it's the beauty of the macro and the perfect defense, but does that look impressive when you see, like, the Terran player dropping 5 different players? Like, yeah, okay, I get it, but it's, I think you just gotta look deeper.
Protoss is kind of like fine wine, made better with aging, right? Like,
sure, yeah.
The longer the matchup goes, the better it's gonna be.
Yeah, it's also a lie, I think, for people who don't play Protoss too, because it is one of those things where, like, you show someone StarCraft 2, and they never actually played a game, and they're like, "What's so crazy about Ling Baneling micro?" And you're just like, "Well, you don't understand.
You try it.
You have to try it." Exactly. Like, I think that's a lot for Protoss too. It's like, well, they just offended. Like, what's the big deal? And it's actually really, really quite cool. Yeah, I don't know why he didn't finish the pylon. He'll get around to it, but.
I mean, the pylon already mission accomplished in forcing up the second base out of Patience to be somewhere other than where he wanted to be. This does leave it exposed, and if Stats wants to get aggressive, maybe he'll punish him for it. I think what's really scary for Patience, though, was with Stats walling this off very quickly. There's no scouting. He actually has no idea whether this is for, like, a fast robo, super quick DTs, Stargate. Like, he has no information on what Patience is doing. And this Oracle coming across the map, whatever for damage, it needs to see what Patience or Stats is doing. Excuse me.
Yeah, that was like I owed a little bit in the very beginning before the intros even, and that was because Patience didn't wall off on Proxima, which is a little bit odd. You know, there's a lot of power in the wall off that Stats did. Oh, I can't believe that Oracle lived. Good job, Oracle. But yeah, you can hide one base shenanigans. You can obviously hide a natural base. You can hide whatever tech it is, unless they actually dedicate to a sentry with the Lucid Phoenix. Unless they do that, then they gotta wait for the Oracle or the Observer, which takes quite some time. Actually, they probably all take around the same time. But the point is, it's a lot of work. Whereas Patience really let himself be opened up. Like, you know, there was a pylon block. The probe got in there and stayed in there long enough the pylon block, and I mean, maybe it doesn't matter. Like, they might get all the 4 bases and go into Stargate versus Stargate again. But I mean, openers on Proxima, it's a little more interesting.
Yo, by the way, power to the people. $1,000 now in the prize pot. Again, this is going to be like a 3-week-long tournament. It doesn't have to be all raised today, but it's awesome to see a lot of the codes being used, but also some people throwing in their own hard-earned cash. With Blue Scran throwing in $5 and Spidey 2806 as well, saying this is for Scarlet because she will win. Well, actually, that'll be really interesting because the next matchup is going to be Scarlet versus Gumiho coming after this one concludes.
I don't think she wins.
I want to believe she could. I think it'd be really cool to see her beat Gumiho, but Gumiho's definitely the favorite, without a doubt.
Yes. Quite good.
Also, you're not a very good friend. Come on.
I mean,
you're like, I can't argue with that.
I mean, you might be right. Yeah, I try and take that out of the equation. So obviously, I'm like the best friend that there is. Right?
I love that there's this degree where somebody's more willing to believe that because you know this will be true, than that you are like, oh, she's not biased about Scarlet, but she's still so biased for Terran. It's disgusting.
I have an opposite bias against Scarlet. In my attempt not to be biased for Scarlet, I
You have like
bias.
a tsundere bias against Scarlet, is what it would be. It's like,
Yeah,
idiot. It's not like I
probably.
wanted you to win anyways.
That's probably what it is. No, that one I just think is really accurate. Like, I believe that, like, versus stats, even if, like, the last time wasn't so great, but, and obviously, like, 1-2-0, but Gumiho is just actually one of the best Terrans. I mean, everyone talks about the top 4 Terrans, and Gumiho wasn't a part of that list, but now he should be. Like, now he's better than Beyond, I think. Beyond
I feel like he's
the
brute forced
low.
his way into that list.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's better than Innovation, actually. I mean, it's always hard to say who's better because different matchups, right? But Gumiho absolutely, like, stomps Innovation in TVT. That's been consistent for a couple of weeks now, so I don't know, man. He's pretty good.
Well, we got a Templar Archives coming out pretty quick out of stats. I'm really curious if this will lead to like faster Archons for some sort of push, or maybe he just wants to feed back the Phoenix. Either way, nobody quite throwing down Stargates in terms of, hey, I'm gonna get that late game rolling. Patience might be able to turn that into something later, but I think he knows as well with what he's seen. This is perhaps some aggression to worry about.
Yeah, we once got quite some time to talk about stuff, but it has at least one or a couple of interesting things. You know, not going up straight to Stargate versus Stargate, anything like that, but I mean, double Forge is always odd to see nowadays, anyways, from Protoss. 3 years ago, it was quite normal in some of the matchups, but
Well,
I don't think it was ever normal in PvP.
I'm not convinced upgrades are like the best way to go for PvP either. I mean, a lot of this I think for me was watching Hearthstone always lose with like these +2 leads and things like that.
Yeah, like we actually watched, I guess, the development of like super early 1-1s. If you recall, it was like on Newkirk or something like that. We saw it like a couple of times from Hero, I think, where he got like these super quick forges. Like 2.5 bases, something like that, and it was just like, wow, it's really quick. And did it work? No, I think both times I saw it, it didn't work. Or maybe the one time it did work was because he was already such a big leader or something like that. But I don't know either. But it is going. I mean, it's some stats adds in a Stargate, but it is right for now a lot about the ground army, and that could be very powerful.
Quick side note too, on just an addendum to what I said. It's not that I phrased that poorly. It's not like Hearthstone always loses, but I meant to say like we would see him go +2 a lot, and he would lose a +2 enough to make me go like that really is not too convincing. And
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, guys. I don't care about bruising Hearthstone's ego with that statement. I just wanted to be a little bit more accurate with it as well. But 4th base setup for Patience, or stats transfers over. Patience also getting his 4th setup, but it's at a gold base. Very different. But this fight that's about to come down, like, I really don't know who I favor going into this. The army supplies are not too crazy different. I do like Patience having these 3 Phoenix, though. Like, lift up the Immortals, take those out of the equation, and suddenly his army is way, way better.
Well, Patience also has a bit of an army supply lead, and he's going to have charge seconds before stats will. Like, if he actually catches that, that could be pretty powerful. Stats is also investing some of his reinforcement money into additional structures and tech, and oh my god, he's looking at all the Immortals.
Yeah, exactly what he needed to do with those Phoenix. Well executed. Stats is, like, you can have a huge gateway army, but Immortals, nothing does the same damage as Immortals. Well, I take that back, DTs do. But still, the Immortals chunk for like 60 a shot on anything armored, and even then they just got the barrier to soak damage on things that aren't. Archons on the front line.
So many good Immortals. Yeah, that's quite the army supply for Patience.
It lifts him up again. Overcharge dealing a ton of damage, but of course it's the barriers that are soaking it. The overcharges have effectively not done much in this fight. It's the ground army that's going to push it off through the gateways. There's still a lot of Immortals out of Patience, though. Charge loss now coming in for the reinforcements. Oh, he didn't see that coming.
Yeah, the Warp Prism still going strong there, and that's definitely helps. I think this will be stats. I mean, I don't know if he'll lose right here. He is managing to defend his 3rd base, but at some point his 4th base could be under attack, but even a handful of Zealots. And Patience not only has a 4th base, but he also has the gold.
Yeah, the gold's interesting because it's a little bit of a nice income boost, but really it's just about the worker necessity. Losing this based on stats, this is gonna be almost too much damage. Even though he does have DTs being annoying on the other side of the map, and oh, I take this back. This might be game-endingly bad. Make an Oracle.
I was gonna say it can't possibly be game-ending, but
make an Oracle.
No.
Patience. What are you doing?
As someone who actually doesn't hotkey their Stargate, if I have a robo, I wonder if that's enough.
I mean, fair enough. I mean, he's got observers over here. He's very focused on winning the game on this side of the map. I just hope he doesn't throw too much weight at home to do so.
Yeah, right. I mean, if there was a closer battle, right, and he was only depending on what he had at home to put him into that lead, then that's too bad. But he was hardcore winning the battle.
Yeah. Stats, by the way, had 2-2 lined up. Those Zealots were always going to win the Zealot fights, but it was so much more about the Immortals. And I loved though that almost snowballed badly for Patience. Like, had hypothetically Stats been able to hold, Patience was losing everything at home to 2 DTs.
Fun stuff.
Now, it is worth noting, he may have just assessed, like, oh, it doesn't matter. Those DTs could kill me slowly, but I'll win the game before then. And that's a totally fine reason to ignore them. But he was putting the extra effort in to build, like, 5 extra pylons. He was trying to keep the Robo alive. Like, there's so much about that where I'm just like, obviously not the important part of the game, though, because he did win, bringing us to game number 3 as we load into the next map, which is...
Sequencer. I had to figure that one out myself.
Nice. But yeah, for those who are joining in, some people are asking about this in chat. The preliminary matches were, of course, Stats versus Scarlet and Gumiho versus Patience. Gumiho and Scarlet both won their matches, and they are waiting to play their best of 3 next. Right now, we're playing the elimination match between Stats and Patience, and whoever loses this next game is out of this season of the BTSL. Also, while we have conglomerated all the prize money to be like top 4, like that's the point. It's a lot more money, but it's top 4 only.
Pretty cool.
It is percentage of the prize pool, though. I just want to note that I didn't actually write percentages, I think, on Matcherino, or maybe I did. Yeah, I did, apparently. Nice. First place is, with the current prize pool we have raised, first place is like, no, I didn't. I did flat values.
No, he's like, no, you didn't. Like,
yeah.
$21. Where'd it go?
Shut up. First place, though, like, assuming we have a $1,100 prize pool, right? We're not there yet, but we still got weeks to go. First place would be like at least $500. It's a lot more than your like 100 you'd get from the weekly type thing. So it's really awesome that we could experiment with and play with to see if we could make this bigger and better. But Spidey Ups is oh, I see what's happened here. Okay, so we'll talk about this in a moment. Let's get the intros out of the way first. Spawning in the bottom left, it's the yellow Protoss player Stats.
On the top right is the red Protoss. He is Patience.
Yeah, so there's a small way to abuse Matcherino, and these guys have figured it out by mistake. So I want to point out, I have no strong feelings about this, positively or negatively, but you can totally use old and recycled codes that have been left over that Matcherino hasn't deactivated. And apparently BTSL 9, whatever leftover codes we have from last season, are still active. So if people are using the coupon code BTSL 9, they're able to throw in a couple of extra bucks. Kind of double dip, if you will. I mean, I don't think Matcherino cares too much because they're actually really generous with helping us out. I've met with their I don't know what you call them, team members, group members, people behind Matcherino a couple of times, and you know they've credited us a lot. Like, man, I'm so glad you guys use the site. Like, you help us raise a lot of money. It makes us look good in other people's eyes. Blah blah blah. So they're really good people. Big shouts to Matcherino for helping make all these prize pools bigger, better, and more awesome. But we do need to once again remind you guys that this would not be possible without Twitch and, of course, their sponsorship of the initial prize. But no way. He's not going to pull it off. The probes are mining. They should be able to block it off, right? That's Patience's pylon I'm looking at. That's not Stats.
Yeah, I know. I'm a little confused as to why he did this.
I think there was some intention to try and block this off. I mean, if there's a mothership core floating across the map, this is an overcharge.
Okay, so here's the thing, though. It might be because Patience did this before and then just let it die. Stats is like kind of like trying to call the bluff a little bit, but like yeah, the mothership core, like it would just kill it no matter what, anyways. Like if he saw the mothership core coming, he just push an overcharge and kill it. So I don't know. It's scouting, I guess. She's 2 adepts. Okay, that dies. That did nothing. And Patience is going to go for very fast Robo. By the way, thank you to Vivid Oblivion for the 27-month resub, and Aquarius XXX for the 17-month resub. Woohoo, streaming when I can watch before work.
Nice. So we may have discovered a very unintentional bug with Maturino as people continue to exploit these codes, and apparently, I guess, they're not tied to the event but the username. So I have to ask this very kindly, but I know not everybody will listen to this. People are jumping to use the Yord promo code on BTSL, because apparently that's active. Guys, we have a show match coming up after this with Byun versus Hero, and here's the skinny of it, right? I want you to use the codes however you feel right to do so, but if you use, we have limited amounts of these codes. If you use the Yord promo code on the BTSL, you're literally taking away money from Hero and Byun, because that's codes that are meant to be used over there. I can't stop you from doing this if you want to, of course, and that's a bug I'll have to sort out with the Match Arena people, but we are doing 2 different events back-to-back today, and of course it's BTSL now, and then immediately afterwards will be a show match best of 7, Hero versus Byun. Also, as a total side note, some people in chat are asking, where does Match Arena get the money? What's the point of this? Where does it come from? Blah, 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 blah. Think of it like any other sponsorship. Match Arena could just flat out give us the $100 if we requested it and just put that in the prize pool flat out. But I like the idea of the codes. I think it's a little bit more fun for the viewers, and there's a lot more interactivity, something we don't normally get to do when you have like 3 minutes of delay all the time when you're streaming. So I like the codes. Again, use them how you will. I'm not going to get raged out over this, but I would just ask kindly that you don't abuse them and take money away from the other players.
Well, nicely put. The game has been chugging along. I was going to say not too much to talk about, but that early Robo did, well, mean something. So it looks like a very small army, but you can push it, especially if they don't catch you like on the way out with like an Oracle or something and kill all your sentries. And if you already get here, and they just are in the defensive position, like this can actually bust down pylons, obviously, with that one Immortal. Force fields can be quite brutal if they're trying to kind of like intercept you halfway, exactly like this. Like Patience could do some damage, but it's not really the type of army that's gonna steamroll stats. Like this is just have to be very like a lot of finesse goes into this.
Yeah. Oh, I like trying to open up the back door. I mean, there's going to be pylons placed over here, and I think he should be able to buy the time for at least a different lead.
Maybe. I mean, there is an army supply advantage, and Patience has one more gateway than Stats. Stats only finishing up his 3rd one now. Is going to give up on the idea of the pylon. I mean, technically this one over here helps too, but now he's like going up in the main. I guess he thought maybe there'd be a lift. Well, there still is going to be a lift. That was very tricky, but that was actually really well done by Patience.
Yeah, and now Patience can, of course, force field off the reinforcements from Stats. Anything stuck in the low ground, like that Immortal, for example, not going to be part of the equation. Microing his own Immortal while warping in. Patience's control here is just sick. The Immortal finally freed from Stats. It's going to try and kill Patience's.
Can't actually dodge out of an Immortal, but
well,
trying.
Actually, you kind of can though if you land it between shots. There's like that 1 second cooldown, right?
It's really difficult to do, and he definitely tried to do it, but it was taken out, as well as the Warp Prism. Well, that looks to be a little bit too much. It actually wasn't, and Patience cut probes to do that.
Yeah, that's my concern about this. Like for Patience, I don't think he got enough value. The army trade obviously wasn't enough. No worker damage was done. That was something that absolutely too could have snowballed, but didn't. And because it didn't, he's behind.
Yeah, in a very tricky spot. He adds 4 more gateways and Resident Enclaves. He's going to go for the follow-up all in. Overwhelming numbers, really. You could, either the Adepts do best, like kill a bunch of probes, maybe that even things out, or just actually try and overwhelm the army, which, I think still has a couple of those units, like a couple sentries Adepts will be taken out. But I don't know. This works. Stats trying to get 3rd base, but he's also adding on his own production. I mean, Patience is setting up his Warp Prism harassments. He's got an Immortal and 2 sentries in a Warp Prism.
I think it's really interesting, actually, because, again, if he goes to the main with this, that's 2 force fields for the ramp. All the Warp Ins then are Zealots or Stalkers or Adepts or whatever for damage, and he just did plant down a ton of gateways. I'm not convinced the Immortal's going to do amazing damage here, but not for the
He's
ramp.
banging so many minerals. I thought he was going to warp in given the opportunity, but he actually has to use it defensively.
Resonating Glaives did complete at least, so he's got that much going for him, but this was a really good deep power. And of course, attack at the front coming. Knock, knock. Patience not here because he's busy chasing the Warp Prism in the main.
Yeah. And not successfully. These Immortals are living. The Warp Prism lives.
Overcharge is getting burned too. They're not here for this fight.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Stats might have gotcha. I mean, no matter what, he's on a third base and Patience isn't, so...
Yeah, and there's just no way this fight doesn't go all right for him. Even without, like, impressive, super crazy Gosu Micro, this is just a numbers game that heavily favors Stats.
Yes, it does. Patience definitely trying to bring back whatever units he can, so an Immortal in 2 Sentries, I don't think it's going to be enough to help out against this army. Stats gonna take a serious?
You know, for that first attack, I was kind of like, oh man, is Patience really going to beat Stats? That's so cool. But Stats lock-in is now towards the end is certainly nice to see too. GG. All right, well, Stats, fantastic start for him. Or not a fantastic start. I meant to say not a fantastic start for the day for him, losing 0-2 to Scarlet. But brings it back in the losers match. So he'll move on to the finals of the group. Here's what's left, guys. We got the winners match coming up, Gumio versus Scarlet. After that, the loser plays against Stats, but the winner moves on to the playoffs of the tournament. We have a second group for this too, but it won't be cast today. It'll actually be cast a lot later in June after we get back from Toronto. So I think it's like June 22nd or 23rd. Where's that here? Because I did post the full player lists. That one's going to be Beyond, Hurricane, Sue, and Solar, which should be a pretty cool group too. But winners match coming up. Gumio and Scarlet have to do veto, so this might be a little bit longer of a break than average, but do stick around, folks. If you want to support us, and more importantly, support the fact that Twitch sponsors these types of tournaments, consider cheering with bits instead of donations. Consider subscribing to the channel, whether it be through Prime or otherwise. Prime just rolled out for like 200 plus countries, by the way, so if you are one of these people who recently got on the Amazon hype train, absolutely use that Prime membership to sub for free to the channel. It'll help us out a ton. You'll get a lot of cool benefits to it too. And we send out crazy replay packs. Like, we're going to send out a replay pack of all these today to our subscribers only. So, a lot of cool benefits there. But we'll see you guys in a few minutes. Thanks for watching. We'll be back soon.